Okay, thank you. Good evening, and I'm sure all of you had a very long day already. So, but let me quickly try to add to what Prajwal and Rajendran and others in this session and a long day and everyone has been saying. What I will do is I will not repeat those things. I mean, in very great measure, some of those things are quite true of IIT Kanpur also. I've been here for a very long time. But what has been changing in recent years, especially in terms of everyday academic practice, inside the classrooms, in the labs, in the hostels, maybe quickly, maybe in 3 points I'll try to summarize that. First thing is what is happening in these institutions, and this is not only something specific about IIT Kanpur, but since I'm here, I'm talking about this place. Is this whole thing of financialization and a very great, so a lot of money talk, science people, it's not supposed to be talking about money, but a lot of money talk happens. I mean, I'll just give you one example perhaps, and given the time. Look at this HEFA thing, this Higher Education Financial Agency. Now we are saying each IIT and IIT Kanpur has taken several hundred crores worth, perhaps 500 crore plus worth of loans. This also means, and it is progressively increasing, this also means that this loan has to be paid by the internal resources that we generate, which means primarily whatever we charge our students. And now you can see that this means that all sorts of degrees of freedom go outside the hands of even the administration. The 500 crores means that we barely generate 40-50 crores right now from the fee. That's an upper estimate. That means we have already mortgaged the next 10 years, and there's also an incentive for every administration to make fancier and fancier buildings. I mean, this is how financialization works. And somebody else later is going to think about how to pay it back. So that's what the whole logic is. This also means with this kind of massive fee that our students pay, and especially I'm talking about undergrads, they are the ones who pay the fee because others get the scholarship. This also means that means they take loans and come here. Before that, they have gone to expensive coachings, as you all know. This means what I have seen is students are completely focused on quote-unquote career. And career doesn't mean academics in the campus. Because then they are looking for high-paying jobs, finance jobs, so not only financialization in HEFA sense, but also financialization in this sense that day one, all our engineering students, doesn't matter which branch, which science, which engineering, they're all looking for finance job. That's the priority number one. So it's not academics, but job-oriented kind of whatever, summer internship, whatever they need to do, they need to build their CVs from organizing cultural festivals. The whole logic of the system has turned upside down. This first point I wanted to say. Second point is what has happened if you come to the research part. It's a massive corporatization happening at a very, very rapid rate. It was earlier also, but especially, remember, perhaps this regime is the most big capital friendly government that we have seen since 47. And they have their pet projects, they have their whole thing. Remember, just Amitabh Kant, the CEO of Niti Aayog, just this week he has said that, how by 2047 India will become the developed nation because we are going to have 1,000 large corporations. That's his vision. He is in a business standard, even he was speaking. You would have seen it in the paper. So here they have military projects, semiconductor, 5G, AI, ML, cognitive sciences, cyber security, bioengineering. They have all sorts of this, that their idea of what India should look like and how India can become developed. And in these areas, there are massive fundings available, both state funding and the corporate funding. I'll come to state corporate, a quick distinction a little later. But what has happened in the process is my colleagues have become more of managers rather than academics. I mean, they have to manage large set of PhD students, large set of research staff. They are bothered about if funding stops, what will happen to all this. The continuous project funding by definition is time-bound funding. They are bothered about patents. They are opening companies. So the whole logic of what an academic looks like, if you look at it from the point of view of my colleagues in science and technology, it has changed in a very fundamental way, especially if I can say in the last decade. Combine this with this ranking business. That means, what is important is more number of papers, more number of PhD students, and therefore new hierarchies. People who can get funding, who can fund their students more liberally, who can, get their students to publish quickly, and new whole lot of the areas I named earlier. I won't repeat. New market-oriented departments have been opened. That means new buildings, new FA loans again, and also that means also very, very market-determined areas in this sense where fundings are available. Research agenda. And interestingly, though, remember that most of the R&D funding is coming from the state. Yet, these agenda is very interestingly, very tightly controlled by the private funders. So, there is very interesting kind of a development here. The second point I wanted to say. Third point is this development of a whole new, what I would call as a digital surveillance complex. I mean, we all know NEP 2020 on online, this massive stress on onlineization of education. Remember in the 60 odd page NEP document, if you read it, the final document, 50 times it mentions online if you search it. 40 odd times it mentions digital. There are chapters dedicated to it, those of you who are familiar with the NEP 2020 document. So now we are saying that all you need to do is invoke NEP 2020, and you are saying you can say e-classes, e-masters, e-credits, Senate meetings, our highest decision making body. COVID has come and gone, we are only online meetings. Faculty selections are online. It's great resistance to, now leave online everything, everybody is comfortable online. So it's an irony that I'm also speaking online right now, but this is how it is happening, and this is completely changing the color of the whole thing. So there is incentivization for doing all this, and then therefore there is a very tight control also, the labor process, if I may use the word, both of the students' labor and the teachers' labor, surveillance of that, control of that. So we were talking about what I and you can say in the classroom, but this goes to a very different level when we are saying online and our lectures will be canned, etc. Remember that. Also, this means that the courses that we can offer and the degrees we give, this so-called online, are very, very market-oriented. This whole idea that education has anything else to do than whatever market wants to lap it right now. And market means big capital, remember. Another related issue is, and this is the last thing I wanted to say, is that ubiquitous CCTV cameras. You go anywhere in this campus, a large campus. Go on the roads, you go to the classrooms, you go to the labs, go to the hostels, everywhere we are saying there are cameras. And then which are monitored also. There is a large investment on cameras, there is a large investment on recording and storing all this data. Interestingly, in recent years, every time there is a worker and student protest. And this campus has a tradition of that. We are saying there are more and more campus. Campus. Every time one standard response is more campus. And therefore, so these 3 points quickly I wanted to add to, and I'm sure this will be true of many of your campuses also, since we didn't talk about it. And just to summarize, you see, remember, I would say that IITs by design have been institutions which are supposed to be, cut off from the larger reality, part of establishment in their own ways. And yet there has been a very long tradition of, important this thing of dissent, not only against the administration here, but against the state policies and so on. Long tradition of that. And with all this, that students inside the classroom, inside the labs, inside the hostel are now young colleagues, again facing these new realities. We are saying that this is, in my opinion, one reason, besides the things that you people said, the present regime and so on. Also that we are saying that we have lost this space. And you have seen, since Jamia Media was mentioned so many times, when students here stood up, Jamia Media's solidarity with them on 17th December 2019, and read those Faiza's iconic lines, "Hum dekhenge," all hell broke loose in this campus. So I'll stop here. Thank you for listening to me.